So let's start. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're fine. For today, we are going to start past papers for the topics that we revised this week. Some of you, they attended with us the revision classes for this week. We did on Monday, we did moles, if you remember. And on Wednesday, we did electrolysis and redox. I hope it helped somehow. So I told you for Friday, I'm going to do past papers for both topics that we revised this week, okay? So I'm going to do now, we are going to start by moles. I'm going to do half the class moles, with the other half are going to do electrolysis. Yani you're going to do mix, okay? طبعا for sure electrolysis is always mixed with redox, for sure يعني. So we're going to do mix, but I will start with moles. I know moles for the majority, it's so tricky. So we're going to take different ideas, and I'm going to show you ideas that's going to, يعني somehow it's, for a lot of students, they are tricky يعني أو confusing. Okay, يلا, let's start. Let's start by moles first. This is one of the ideas that all the time you are going to find. Okay, it's related to the water of crystallization. I told you before, if I want to talk about water of crystallization, some salts already, if this is the salt from inside, it contain water. I didn't add any water. It contain water. So if it contains water and then I started heating it, what will happen? All the water in the crystals starts to evaporate. Okay, so again, this is water of crystallization. Okay, so this is magnesium sulfate. I'm going to do once I'm going to have this salt, magnesium sulfate, it contains already water of crystallization, so I start heating it. What will happen? All the water will evaporate, all the salt will remain. Type. What will happen next? I need to know what is X. يعني what is X? يعني let's say this was magnesium sulfate dot X water. I don't know what's X. يعني I don't know how much water are there في water of crystallization. يعني مثلا let's say if it is copper sulfate dot 5 water, يعني it contains 5 moles of water. So how much water are there? The copper sulfate or magnesium sulfate or iron sulfate or whatever. So how much water are there? This is how to find X. طيب. How I'm going to do it? It's the same like the normal empirical formula. يعني I'm going to get the mass for the magnesium sulfate alone, and then the mass of the water alone. And then once I'm going to get the mass of magnesium sulfate, and then I'm going to get the mass of the water, I'm going to divide both of them by the empirical formula, same like the normal problems. Okay? طيب, let's do it. Magnesium sulfate. Here, this is the water. This is, what's the mass for, take care بقى. Here he's saying in this is the mass of the hydrated magnesium sulfate. يعني the salt with the water. So what should I do? What do you think? What should I do? I need to get the mass of the magnesium sulfate alone without any water. So what should I do in this case? Do any of you know? What should I do in this case? I need to subtract. Exactly. Bravo, Yayora. Good job. I need to subtract this one minus this one. So I'm going, لأنه this is the hydrated salt, يعني the salt with the water. لكن I need the magnesium sulfate alone. I don't need the water. So what should I do? I'm going to do 4.92 minus 2.52. يلا. Anyone has a calculator? If you have the calculator.
Equals 2.4.
Yes, do with me بقى. يعني all the time get calculator, do with me. So the mass of the magnesium sulfate is going to be 2.4. Okay, but what about the mass of the water removed? This was given already, 2.52. Then what should I do? This is the mass. طيب, for empirical formula, we use which rule? Mass over molar mass. يبقى المول is mole mass mole MR. So what should I do? I'm going to divide the mass over the mole. So I'm going to divide by the MR.
Yes, I already got it. بس عندكم موضوع عندكم اختبار.
What is the MR for magnesium sulfate? We need to count the MR of the magnesium sulfate. طب how I'm going to get it, برافو يا يور. How I'm going to get it? You're going to count for every element. يعني magnesium alone, I'm going to take the total.
Very good.
Excuse me, if anyone want to join, so please keep muted, please. Okay, so yes, Yarina, thank you. So what should I do now? I need to get the MR for the MR, and I need to get the big number. Right, let's check بقى from the periodic table how I can get the MR. The magnesium alone is 24 plus how many sulfur do I have? One sulfur, يعني plus 32 plus how many oxygen? I have 4 oxygens, يعني 4 times 16. So what's the total number? MR is 120, bro. Good job. So it's 120. But what about the big numbers of water? Every hydrogen is 1, يعني 1 and 1, plus an oxygen is 16. So it's going to be totally 18. So what's going to be both numbers? Huh? Good job. For magnesium, it's 0.02. Thank you. For water, it's 0.14. Thank you so much. Then I'm going to do I'm going to divide both by the smallest. Am I right? So this is what I'm going to do. You are going to divide this by 0.02 with this by 0.02. Usually the لازم it's a must in the ratio is going to be 1 to 2. All the time يا نمار you need to find it 1 to 2. If you فروحة I didn't find it 1 to 2 يبقى for sure I did a mistake. For sure. So the ratio is going to be 1 to a 1 to a number, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, but it must be 1 to something. Exactly, ya Mahmoud. It's going to be a 1 to 7. You got my point? But this is how I did it. Again, I'm going to repeat. What did I do? Number 1. Oh, number 1. This is magnesium sulfate, or this is water. The magnesium sulfate, this is 4.92. Okay? Where this was the salt and the water it contained. But once I heat it, all the water will evaporate. So the mass of the water is 2.52. That's why I put it. But what about the mass of the magnesium sulfate alone? Here it's with the water. Hydrated, it means it's with the water. I need to subtract this minus this. What will happen, ya Muhammad, in this case? This is the mass. So what should I do? I'm going to divide both by the MR. That's why I divided here by 120, here I divided by 18. But how I calculate the MR? Total big numbers. Then it's going to be 0.02, here 0.14. You will divide both by the smallest. I will divide this by 0.02, this by 0.02. So the answer is going to be 1.1 to 1 to 7. Okay? طيب. Perfect. Let's do another idea. طيب, here he's saying the ratio is what? The ratio is 1 to 7. But if he asks you after the ratio 1 to 7, sometimes he asks you what's the formula. If he asks you then what's the formula, I need to write magnesium sulfate and then dot 7 water. Again, if he asks you to write the formula, you need to write it like this. You need to write it, the formula, and then يعني magnesium sulfate dot 7 water. You need to write this. طيب, let's continue. Oh, you see? Now he wrote it. Well, this is again a 2 marks. Can you imagine? It's a 2-mark question for nothing. We didn't do anything. يعني just to write magnesium sulfate dot 7 water because we found the ratio is 1 to 2. This is 2 marks. But why did I put it 1 to 7? لأنه here they're supposed to be in 1, we here it's supposed to be a 7. Okay? طيب, let's continue. Here بقى the relative formula mass of the silver chloride is 143.5. Calculate the number of moles. Let's wait. I want to give you a different idea. We did this on Monday. I want to check. I want to. Oh, this is a good question. I want best to get idea that we didn't do. لأنه Wednesday في some ideas we did. Oh, this one is really good. Again, about empirical formula. let's check كده. If I'm going to talk about this, he's saying 1.68 sample of phosphorus. All of you get the calculators, we do it with me. Okay? But he is saying that I'm going to get 1.6. What should I do, طيب? Yeah, please keep muted. Please. Oh, I'm having a sample, 1.68 sample of phosphorus was burned. Okay, I burned it. And 3.87 of oxide is formed. Okay, يبقى this means إنه ده it was هو بيقول لي it's an oxide of phosphorus. I just want to say something. If anyone would keep unmuted, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to remove him from the meeting. No, I can't focus. وكمان he's going to disturb others. So please keep muted, please. So I need to put oxide of phosphorus. I need to know what's the formula for oxide of phosphorus. طيب oxide of phosphorus, this means إنه I have P or I have O. But I don't know how to know the formula. طب how can I get it بقى يا محمود? I will check. Here is saying in the 1.68, this is the sample of phosphorus. يبقى this means and this is the mass of the phosphorus. 1.68. And then was burned. The oxide of the phosphorus as a whole, يعني this means in the total mass is 3.87. طب if the phosphorus alone was 1.68, يبقى الأوكسايد of the phosphorus as a whole كان 3.87. Exactly يا إيدو. يا أنا بقى I need يعني لو all يعني imagine كده with me إن لو this is the phosphorus with the oxygen, it was 3.87 gram. طب if the phosphorus alone was 1.68 gram, يبقى this means الأكسجين was how much? يبقى you will do 3.87 minus 1.68. correct. برافو عليك. good job. إيش يا ترى دي؟ برافو برافو. ما شاء الله. excellent. So it's going to be, as you said in the chat, you know, it's going to be 2.19. perfect. يبقى I just subtracted this minus this. why بقى يا فروح؟ لأنه I need to get the mass of إيه يا حلا؟ I need to get the mass of the oxygen alone. Then you need to divide every one by the big number. طيب what's the big number for phosphorus? Who can tell me?
31.
The big number from the periodic table, 31. Okay. Well, oxygen?
16.
Perfect. So what's the two numbers now? If you divide?
0.054 and 0.0137.
0.0 what?
54.
54. Thank you. And here the other one?
0.0137.
0.0137. With special advice بقى, that's good that I remember. Don't go and write it مثلا, let's say, يعني if the number is 0.0125, don't go and write it 0.01. No, write it like this, 0.0125. Oh, please don't do any round up in the intermediate stage. Okay, يعني في stages اللي هي in the middle, write it as a whole, write it like this, يعني after the point, write 3 numbers. Why? In some problems at the end, it's going to make a difference. يعني if you are going to write it مثلا, let's say 0.01 only, at the end, you're not going to get the formula. فيعني sister's advice, try to do it. This is one of the tricks that's really make a difference at the end. طيب. Then what will happen? I'm going to do إيه? I wrote here the mass, I wrote here the mass. So what should I do next? I will divide both by the smallest number. Which one is the smallest number? 0.05 or 0.01? 0.0. Sorry?
0.01.
Exactly. So we will divide both by 0.0137. So what's going to be the ratio? Divide, yes, correct, ya Mirola. Lovely name, da Mirola. It's a nice one. So sweet, kid. Thank you, Arish. So Arish, did you find it 4? Thank you. Are you sure? So I don't think so. It was 1. It was 3. طيب لا I think I need to calculate it لأنه شايفة إن إحنا. طب في some of you got 4 to 1 وفي some of you got 3 to 1. طب let's do it. 0.054 divided 0.0137. It's 3.9. 3.9 يعني almost 4. Correct. Can we do one with the empirical formula? Yes, sure, we can. ولا you mean with the molecular? I think you mean with the molecular one. It's empirical, we did, it's the same. يعني you just write the mass here and the mass here, then you divide by the MR, and then you divide by the smallest. يلا. Let's do بقى المور ratio. I think it's trickier كمان. So what should we do now? The first step, I need to get the given. I need to check what's the given. So if I check here the given, here it's going to be 50 centimeter cube with 2 mole per decimeter cube. So what should I do? Now 50 centimeter cube. I told you before, last class, if you remember, on Monday class, I told you if you are going to find anything with centimeter cube, يبقى automatic this is what? أول ما ألاقي something with centimeter cube, يبقى this is volume. Again, يبقى when I find something with centimeter cube أو with decimeter cube, this or this, يبقى this is volume. طيب, if I find centimeter cube mole per centimeter cube أو mole per decimeter cube, so again, this is concentration. Again, يبقى mole per decimeter cube, this is a concentration. لكن any rule, any unit بالcentimeter أو بالdecimeter cube, this is volume. Okay? طيب يلا. Let's do it. 50 centimeter cube, this is the volume. with 2 mole per decimeter cube بتاع ده hydrochloric, so this is what? Tell me. This is concentration ولا again this is volume? Sorry? Concentration, am I right? Bravo, good job. You wrote in the chat. Good job. So this is concentration. طيب. كل ده for ايه؟ For hydrochloric acid. يبقى these numbers are for the hydrochloric. طيب, let's do it step by step. I want the moles of hydrochloric. طب how many mole rules do we have? احنا we said ان احنا we have three main ones. What are them? اهو. Mass ومول وMR. When do we use this? We use this يا لولي امتى? When do we use this يا لولي? We use this when I'm having mass, anything related to mass. طيب, the second rule is related if I'm not given any mass. If I'm going to be given volume or concentration. يبقى in this case, what should I do? I will multiply volume times concentration to get the mole. But take care, all the time the volume must be by which unit? By decimeter cube. طب if I'm going to get it by centimeter cube, يبقى I need to divide by 1000. طيب, next. The third rule, what do we use the third rule for? For only gases, volume or mole with 24. When do we use this? We use this if I'm having, if I need the volume of a gas. Because I told this is rule number 1, this is rule number 2, this is rule number 3. These are the 3 main rules. The third one, I need to do I use this if I have a gas. يبقى volume or mole 24 if I have a gas. Okay? Exactly. Because they found in 1 mole of any gas, it takes the same volume, اللي هو 24 decimeter cube. That's why we use the third one. يلا. طيب, I have for this one, I have volume or I have concentration. يبقى أكيد for sure which rule I'm going to use. The only rule that have volume or concentration here is second rule. But that's why volume, mole or volume or concentration. I have the volume LMR be 50 centimeter cube. So what should I do? I need to divide by, since it's centimeter cube, I need to do to divide by 1000. Never to work by centimeter cube except if he asks you. خلاص, لكن normally we use decimeter cube. طب concentration is what? 2. It's given already. So the concentration is 2. Then I need to get the mole. So what should I do? I'll multiply this by this. So what's the number? 0.1. لا يا يارا, take care. يا يويو. said ان احنا we need to work by decimeter cube, يعني need to divide by 1000. بصي النمبر طلع totally different ازاي؟ take care. طيب I'm going to do 0.1. طب if I want to get MgCO3, I want to get MgCO3. طب if I'm going to go and check, I'm not going to find anything given to MgCO3. Once you feel you're stuck, well, this is what I told you last class, if you remember last Monday. I told you, since I have a given, خلاص I will work with the given. Since I have a given, يبقى I will work with the given. لكن if I don't have a given, يبقى I will do more ratio out. Exactly يا إيدو بالظبط. I will do more ratio. طب how should I do it? I will say every 1 magnesium carbonate will give you how many HCl? Will give you 2 HCl. أهو. Why أصلا I'm doing more ratio? This is the trickiest part في المولز اللي دايما your students are confused with. I'm going to say every 1 magnesium carbonate, since it's a balanced equation, will give you how many HCl? Will give you 2 HCl. طيب, if the HCl was 0.1, يبقى this means how many magnesium carbonate do I have? يبقى I need to get a magnesium carbonate. Once again. برافو يا لمار, برافو يا إيدو, good job. يبقى once again, why did I do more ratio? I do more ratio when I want to get the moles of something that I don't have a given for. يبقى I can't think except like this. I'm going to say every 1 magnesium carbonate will react with how many HCl? With 2 HCl. يبقى this means how much magnesium carbonate will react مع 0.1 HCl. The mole ratio is always taken between ايه وايه يا محمود? Between the substance that I have the moles for وال substance that I don't have the moles. يعني أنا ال HCl عندي المولز, لكن ال MgCO3 I don't have anything. I don't have any given. And then I'm going to swap. يبقى it's going to be 1 times 0.1 divided what? Divided 2. Exactly. هتطلع 0.05. Okay? وfor the ones بقى who doesn't know how to do ال cross multiplication. Usually هنا أنا حاطة question mark. يبقى I will multiply the area that have numbers. أنا كده بصوا يعني كده from scratch أهو. يبقى this is 1 و this is 0.1. Then put the side with the question mark. يبقى divided 2. طيب as you said يبقى النمبر is 0.05. طيب I need to get the MR of magnesium carbonate. So what do I mean by the MR of magnesium carbonate? You need to get the total big numbers of all of it. 84. Okay, so I'm going to get 1 magnesium 24, 1 carbon 12, 3 oxygen, يعني 3 times 16. Okay, you take the total for the big numbers. Well, I told you there is one more trick, and sometimes in the exam he's not going to tell you calculate the MR of magnesium carbonate. No. You know what should I do? I'm going to call it. Sometimes I will call it mass of 1 mole. But please take care. If you see this word, mass of 1 mole of a substance, sometimes they will tell you calculate the mass of 1 mole of magnesium carbonate مثلا. I will write dots. So if you don't know the mass of 1 mole of any substance, it means the MR, you lost the mark. And this is very important. Your mass of 1 mole, it means MR. Okay? Yeah, let's continue. Calculate the mass of MgCO3 needed to react exactly مع 500 centimeter cube و 2 mole HCl. So what do you think? What should I do in this time? I need to get يعني أنا جبت ال MR ب 84. Okay, والmoles I had the moles of magnesium carbonate, it was 0.05. طب I need to get the mass of the MgCO3. Exactly يا محمود, برافو عليك. I'm going to use the first rule. So it's going to be mass ومول. لأنه طب why did محمود said to use the first rule? لأنه the first rule is the only rule that have what? That have mass. I don't have any other rules that have mass except the first one. Okay, so I'm going to use the first rule. I need to get the mass. If I have the moles 0.05 I have the MR يفرح 84 يبقى I will just multiply them. And that's it. برافو يا حبوب. تمام يا سلطان. Excellent. هتطلع 4.2 جرام. Good job, good job, good job. طيب water of crystallization same like the one we said at the beginning. Do you need specific idea في المولز؟ وطبعا I told you about the trick of gram per decimeter cube. I told you about it Monday. If he asks for concentration, برضه I told you about this part. If here you have the concentration, let's say مثلا ب 0.01 as an example, mole per decimeter cube, and then he needed by gram per decimeter cube. So what should you do? What should you do now? You are going to multiply. If you are having مثلا, let's say the number was 0.01 and I need
Times MR.
mole per decimeter cube, I needed by gram per decimeter cube, you will multiply it by the MR of the compound. Whatever بقى this compound, مثلا compound ده كان sodium hydroxide, get the MR of it, multiplied by the concentration. I told you this trick last Monday. طيب أنا كده I took يعني some ideas. I know طبعا إنه to do all in one class. Then already we did this last Monday. بس I wanted just to to make كده quick revision يعني أو some past papers كده. Okay. طب let's do some of electrolysis برضو. نبقى عملنا quick revision on both topics.
Miss,
Yes.
can you do paper 2 for moles?
Yes, I can do paper 2, but say the point is إنه إحنا for this class we need to do moles with redox with electrolysis. ف little bit the time is short. يعني you can join. See, I'm going to do other classes for paper 2. ف you can join. يعني I'm having revision classes for paper 2. ف you can join بقى paper 2 classes. لكن here I'm just revising as a quick revision for everything. لأنه as I told you before, this revision course is for all the syllabus explanation and doing past papers. Got my point? For the topics that we are explaining, we are doing some past papers on it, and then we will do full paper بقى. You can join a paper 2 class if you need. There are questions the past paper that confused me. Text, send it to me, Amalek. It's fine. طيب let's do مثلا something like this. We did this I think before. Let's do this. طب this is مثلا for redox. زي told هو دايما usually هتلاقوا الريدوكس والelectrolysis both in the same paper. يعني usually you're going to find them in the same topic of the past papers. فhere is saying and you have magnesium plus copper is going to give you magnesium plus 2 plus copper. فhere is saying why this reaction is a redox reaction. طب how should I know why it's a redox 1? So what should I do? I need to write 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, and here minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. This is the best way to do redox reaction, the best. And then up, this is oxidation. Down, this is reduction. Exactly, Renate. So this is the best way to do it. Right. Any element that doesn't have any number, magnesium doesn't have any charge, so it's 0. It's going to change to magnesium positive 2. So if you check here, from 0 to positive 2, يبقى what's happening to me? If magnesium, the oxidation number was 0, it will become positive 2. يعني you are going up here, but this is oxidation. Okay, and then copper positive 2 becomes copper. It was positive 2, it will become copper. يعني instead of positive 2, it will become 0. يبقى what's happening to the copper? Reduction. لأنه from positive 2 to copper to 0. Okay? طيب, can I say بقى it's a redox reaction ولا I cannot? Yes, I can. طيب, if he asked me why, so what should I do بقى? If he asked why, so what should I do? I'm going to say because. Exactly. I'm going to say bravo. Oh, yeah, Sultan. But I want to tell you something. And this question, don't just go and say because oxidation and reduction took place. لا, this is not enough. You need to say who is oxidized or who is reduced. Take care. You need to say both. طيب for this question لأنه all the time صح يا حلا good job برافو you need to say if you check here you need to say because the magnesium is oxidized you need to say magnesium is oxidized okay and الcopper can copper positive 2 it will become copper 0 يعني without any charge يبقى what's happening reduction يبقى I'm going to say إنه copper is reduced take care if I say copper is reduced I will take 0 you need to say copper positive 2 لأنه what was reduced الcopper positive 2 مش الcopper when he asks you about any redox reaction you need to write from the reactants not from the products يعني you need to say magnesium عشان magnesium دي it's an element it was oxidized والcopper positive 2 هي دي اللي it was reduced so this is how you have to do it يعني طيب let's continue here he is saying بقى yes
What about the change? Will it be like blue color fades away to
لسه
colorless?
هقول اهو I was saying and I just started by the trickier one طيب
Okay.
I was saying what happened as an observation طيب let's do it step by step what is the color for the copper sulfate I told you this question this is the most common and or the most important ionic equation a copper sulfate the color is blue this is copper sulfate طيب once the reaction is done I'm going to find إنه at the end is not going to be copper sulfate anymore why لأنه بصوا كده check with me let's write it as a normal equation magnesium plus copper sulfate the magnesium is going to displace the copper so it's not going to be copper sulfate but it's going to be magnesium sulfate and who is going to be released alone copper is going to be released alone am I right so at this case the copper sulfate it was blue in color طب now it's not blue anymore خلاص it's not blue لأنه magnesium sulfate is formed no more copper sulfate طب what's the color for the magnesium sulfate it's colorless no color يبقى the first observation you can say in the blue color will become faint or will change to colorless type number 2 I'm going to find copper as a metal is going to be formed طب الكوبر ده it's a copper what's the color for the copper it's a pink brown substance okay يبقى I'm going to find إنه في brown solid أو pink brown solid is going to be formed طب number 3 this is what I'm going to have this is what this is magnesium طب I put magnesium at the beginning at the end is going to be smaller in size يبقى it decreases in size يبقى I will say إن المغنيسيوم will decrease in size this is number 1 ونumber 2 I'm going to say in the solution will be decolorized ونumber 3 I will say إن the copper is going to إيه مش copper بقى I don't say في observation I don't say copper لا no I will say pink brown substance is formed okay correct يا correct يا محمود this is a displacement reaction يا محمود correct بس this is not of the observation خلي بالك يعني this is we need to know إنه يعني لأنه sometimes he will ask you what's the name of this reaction so if he asks you what's the name for this reaction I agree I will tell you that this is called redox reaction this is one option or I can say this is displacement reaction this is again another option both are correct but don't go and write displacement reaction when he asks you for observation لا observation يعني what did you see okay يلا identify oh this is again a very good question when I ask you about who is the oxidizing agent who is the reducing agent احنا we said انه magnesium till magnesium positive 2 this is oxidation or from copper positive 2 to copper this is reduction طيب I need to know what is the oxidizing agent oxidizing agent it is the compound that is a oxidizing agent هو الكومباوند that is reduced أو species that is reduced يبقى أنا I'm going to search for anything that is reduced يبقى أنا I'm going to choose مين right كده in the chat show me طيب بصي يا سلطان If you go and write copper, you're going to take 0. I told you, you cannot say copper. You need to say copper positive 2. This is very important. Take care, please. It's not copper who is reduced. الcopper when it changes from positive 2 to 0, that's why it's an oxidizing agent. Take care. Don't go and write copper. This is wrong. That's what the students do. And then at the end, miss, we lost the mark, miss. The exam was... No. You need to know before, يعني كده إيه, before the exam, all these tricks, you need to know it. Okay? يبقى, again, which one is the oxidizing agent? You are going to search for the species that is reduced. What is reduced هو ده oxidizing agent. طب أنا if I check يا فروح, الcopper positive 2 هو ده اللي حصل له reduction. يبقى I'm going to say copper positive 2. I'm not going, أو copper ions. لكن don't go and say copper. Copper is here. It's not reduced. هي copper لما كانت copper positive 2 and it changed to copper, so this is reduction. Okay, so I'm going to say copper positive 2. طب what's the reason? I'm going to say because it is reduced. I'm going to say because it's reduced or because it gained electron. This is the reason. برافو يا حبوب, صح, correct. Okay, so this is how you have to do it. يبقى دايما reaction that is oxidized, as the species that is oxidized, we call it reducing agent in the opposite. طيب, what about this one? This is again, I revised it with you. I don't know you remember or not. This is again very important. This drawing is found in two topics. في electrolysis again for extraction of metal. طيب, let's do it بقى. Here, if you remember, we said إنه aluminium oxide, its name is Al2O3. What should I do? I need to separate the aluminium from the oxygen. So the aluminium is going to be alone, while oxygen is going to be alone. So what will happen? Why I'm going to separate it? You don't have any other way to separate except by electrolysis. So, type, how should I start the equations? Aluminium is in which group? Aluminium is in group 3. So you need to write aluminium positive 3. And then since it's aluminium positive 3, طبعا for sure aluminium D it's a metal. Okay, since it's a metal, it's going to move to the cathode. Let's do it أحسن in another page better. Why أصلا I'm doing electrolysis? Why يا لمار I'm doing electrolysis? لأنه I want to separate the aluminium alone. يعني I need to take the aluminium to make مثلا aircraft from the aluminium. So I cannot do it وهي aluminium مع الأكسجين. No, I need to separate it alone. So what's my task? I want to separate the aluminium alone. طيب, aluminium is in which group? Don't say بقى 2 aluminium. لا, I don't care هما 2 aluminium ولا 10 aluminium. لا, it's not related to this. It's related to the anode and the cathode. وهي في which group? يعني it's related to which group is it? يلا بينا. This is the cathode and this is the anode. Another reason is also because aluminium is more. لا بصي يا أريج, what you said is correct. But I'm not asking, you say this answer when I ask you why did I use electrolysis to extract aluminium? Why I didn't مثلا use carbon? At this time, yes, you need to say because aluminium is more reactive than hydrogen. I agree. than carbon قصدي. I agree. So it cannot displace it. Yes, that's true. هو الألمنيوم عموما يا جماعة it's so tricky. في questions كتير. There is another question برضو في past paper في Cambridge and Edexcel. He was asking them why when we put aluminium with HCl it takes time to react or the reaction was really slow. I told you about this trick before. I'm going to say because the aluminium, it's a 1 mark question في Edexcel و Cambridge. I'm going to say because the aluminium surround itself by a بالظبط يا لمار exactly because مش هي الالومنيوم very reactive فsince الالومنيوم very reactive فبتعمل react دايما automatic with the oxygen and form a automatic and it formed a oxide layer this oxide layer is ايه بقى يا لولي since because it's very reactive it will form oxide layer. This oxide layer اللي هي this one, it will form around it an oxide layer. فالoxide layer دي it makes the aluminium a little bit, takes more time to react with any acid. يعني although aluminium is very reactive, but when we put it with acid, it takes longer time to react. Why? Because it's surrounded by this layer. You feel in that it's something like protective layer كده surrounding it. So that's why it takes more time. Yes, يا لمار, it's non-porous, that's true. طيب, let's continue بقى. طب if he ask you why we use aluminium in aircrafts, برضو this is a very common question في Cambridge Redox. I need to say عشان aluminium is ايه? is having low density طبعا. طيب, let's continue. Aluminium, برافو شطورين شطورتي. Excellent, excellent, you're the best. So, برافو والله. So this is the cathode and this is the anode. Okay, طب how we will remember it? I told you need to remember it by the word panic. Positive anode when negative is cathode. أهو. So the cathode is the negative one and the anode is the positive one. طب يلا, let's check how we will write it. The cathode is the negative one. يبقى who will move to the cathode? Aluminium. طيب, aluminium is in which group? Aluminium is in group 3. So what should I put? Aluminium positive 3. Then I'm going to write aluminium. I'm going to write 3E. So it's going to give you aluminium. Type again, once I told you this last Wednesday, if I have here aluminium plus 3, I need to add 3 electrons to give aluminium. If it was مثلا, let's say magnesium positive 2, I need to add how many electrons? 2 electrons to give magnesium. If I'm having zinc مثلا positive 2, I need to add 2 electrons to form zinc. And so on. For all the time, you need to add electrons that is up already. Whatever the number that is red, the positive, whatever the charge is, you need to add it here. How do I know that this was aluminium positive 3? من ال periodic table. Because it's in group 3, it's plus 3. Because it's a metal, so it's positive. Right. At the anode بقى. What do you think? At the anode, I need to get what? At the anode, I need to get oxygen. Why? Because oxygen is a negative. It's a non-metal, so it will move to the anode, to the positive electrode. So I'm going to write negative oxygen. Oxygen is a bravo يا مش عارفة ايه ده. مو آيات. I don't know. So this is the oxygen is in group 6. So since it's in group 6, this means it's non-metal. طيب, how should I write the charge? It is 8 minus 6. For metal, you put the same like the group number. For non-metal, you do 8 minus the group number. So I will draw an arrow, or I will write oxygen, or I will write the electrons here. Right. Here, this is oxygen. But this side, I'm going to write what? O2 for sure. Since this is oxygen, I'm going to write here O2. Why? لأنه we said in a few words, we need to remember it. Brink of bromine, iodine, nitrogen, and then Cl, and then hydrogen, and then oxygen, and then fluorine. Exactly, يا لمار. These non-metals اللي هم the elements that I wrote up, the non-metal اللي هم Brinkhoff, يعني bromine, iodine, nitrogen, chlorine, hydrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Brinkhoff دول, these are the elements that are always diatomic. But since they are always diatomic, you need to put what? You need to put here 2. I cannot write 1O, it must be 2. طيب, since here it's O2, يبقى أكيد for sure I need to write here 2. Okay? طيب, لأنه this is balanced. This is O2, يبقى I need to write here 2. طيب, as we said, the charge بتاعت الأكسجين is -2. Why the charge is -2? لأنه الأكسجين is in group 6 so it's going to be -2. طب كده how many electrons are going to be lost? I need to lose how many electrons؟ دي 2O -2 يبقى I need to lose 2 electrons. لا يا حبيبة wrong. خلي بالك every oxygen will lose 2 electrons. برافو يا إيدو good job. يبقى it's not going to be only 2 it's going to be ايه؟ It's going to be 4. correct لأن دي 2O -2 يعني O -2 and again O -2 يبقى this means ايه يا محمود total؟ يبقى this is 4 electrons. okay يبقى 4 electrons are there. I'm going to lose 4 electrons اهو this is 2 this is 2 يبقى total 4. okay this equation we write when I'm having magnesium oxide, aluminum oxide, sodium oxide, any molten. Take care, this is molten. When I will form oxygen في المolten electrolysis. Take care طبعا البارت electrolysis in general is so tricky. But if you didn't attend it, it's better to check the record of the electrolysis. لأنه I know it's hard to understand from the past papers يعني. But you can text me, I can you can check the record first. وطبعا this class already free classes free classes like this one I'm going to put it on YouTube يعني by tomorrow كده إن شاء الله you will find it on YouTube. If you have my channel you will find it إن شاء الله maximum by tomorrow. لكن other class اللي هو electrolysis أو revision classes you need to text me so I can send it to you لأنه it's not a free class. So I can send it to you if you didn't attend electrolysis يعني. طيب let's return back to check بقى this last question. Because unfortunately I have another class. طب here this question is very common for Cambridge and Edexcel. He will ask you what's the type of particle that is responsible to transfer the charge. يعني why does electricity passes in the wires? We said before in electricity passes in the wires because of the free moving ايه؟ لا تكير يا ايدو free moving electrons. في الوايرز دي it's a metal like magnesium, copper, aluminum, whatever بقى ده metal. you need to say since it's a wire زي الكوبر كده like copper wires. The electricity passes in the wires because of the free moving electrons. اوكي ماشي برافو صح يا محمود برافو يا ايدو. طيب and then the electrolyte بقى I'm going to say ايه free moving ions. ions يعني this electrolyte يعني this area. يبقى electricity passes في الوايرز عشان free moving electron and it passes in the electrolyte because of the free moving ions. طيب give 2 reasons why we use Carrier-light. We said this one يا محمود you need to say it. Do you remember when you asked me about it? Yes correct برافو يا إيد. It will do what يا فروح. Carrier-light will do it has 2 functions. Number 1 it decreases the melting point of reasons for reducing melting point of aluminum and better conduction of electricity. برافو correct. يبقى number 1 it decreases the melting point of the aluminum oxide. يعني normally الألمنيوم oxide to melt it's need to you need to heat it till 2000. normally you need to heat it till 2000 degrees Celsius. فطبعا 2000 degrees Celsius this is too high temperature. فinstead I'm going to do ايه I'm going to add Carrier-light. Carrier-light will decrease the melting point. Instead of 2000 degree, it's going to melt at 900 degrees Celsius. فطبعا this is way better. طيب number 2 to increase the conductivity of electricity. يعني it's going to make better conduction of electricity to increase conductivity of the electricity. يعني it's going to be increase the conductivity for better conduction of electricity or conductive electricity. يعني it's going to conduct electricity in a better way. يعني normally I'm having here molten aluminum oxide يعني ALO. لكن الكاريولايت you know what's the formula for carrier-light? Carrier-light هي it's not related يعني we don't need to study it but I will tell you so you can imagine Na3AlF6. So all these are ions. So since all these are ions, they will help in passing of electricity. So they will make better conduction of electricity. Now, this question, once it was there in the exam, it's not going to be only this بقى. لا ده كمان كان في another one more reason إنه it is used as a in aluminum oxide, it was used as a solvent. This is again another one. Okay, إنه because it's used as a solvent لأنه طبعا it dissolves. it dissolves it. lower correct يا حبوب. it dissolves البوكسايت يعني بتدوبها كده. it dissolves البوكسايت. بس if the question was 2 marks like this, you need to write the reasons that we said, for better conduction of electricity or decrease in melting point. Okay, طيب next. Write the half ionic equation at the aluminium. We said this before. So I need to write aluminium +3. Since I wrote up +3, I'm going to gain how many electrons? I'm going to gain 3 electrons. So it's going to form aluminium. Type. This question again is very important. If he asks you how the carbon dioxide is going to form, so what should I do? I'm going to say at the anode, and we said this before. At the anode, what will happen? Oh. We said we said أصلا إن at the anode oxygen is formed. We said this. Oh. So why should we replace it? Exactly بالظبط exactly. Same like when I do barbecue. I told you if I want to do barbecue, what will happen? You get the coal, you start burning the coal. For what will happen when you do this? The coal, by time, I cannot use this coal next day. Why I cannot use it the next day? لأنه it's going to be burned with the oxygen. But here it's the same. I need to do what? Anode oxygen is formed, so it will react exactly يا حبيبي. بس بصي يا حبوب بقى في part missing في الانسر بتاعك. إيه what's the part? You need to say because the anode is made of carbon first. And then you need to say the anode is made of carbon أهو. Because the anode is made of carbon, so it's going to react with the oxygen forming carbon dioxide. لأنه sometimes the question that is 2 marks, so sometimes it's 3 marks. Your answer must be full answer. يبقى again, I will say because it is going to be formed because the anode is made of carbon, so it will react with oxygen forming carbon dioxide. Okay, I hope this was clear. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much. Welcome to our class. It's my honor. وإن شاء الله see you next class. We'll have a great night. Have the best weekend ever. Love you. You're most welcome. You're most welcome, dear. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You're most welcome, Yasif. Most welcome, Yara. Masuma, you're most welcome. Thank you.